Welcome to another episode of You'll Only Listen Twice, our Bond podcast where we're taking a look at all the James Bond movies, both official and unofficial. As always, I'm your host, Jake, with my other hosts here as well.
I still can't believe we're still doing this podcast. I'm Troy.
And I'm Jan. I usually have a quippy remark when I introduce myself, but since this movie's very bland, I assumed that I would just introduce myself normally, so here I am.
And because this movie peaks early, I'll introduce myself right off the bat. My name is Producer Paul.
I'm very curious to see what you mean by peaks early.
Yeah, I'm both of what you mean by a peak.
Yeah, which thing?
Especially when Topol doesn't appear until like an hour into the movie.
Yeah, you didn't like Topol?
I like...
What's with this anti-Topol hate, Paul?
Hey.
Yeah, why anti-Topol?
Easy. I'm just referring to a certain delicatessen.
I buy you a delicatessen!
All right, but Paul, remember, last episode, did we all do the homework and watch Flash Gordon?
I did.
Oh, good. Jan gets points.
No, you didn't, Jan.
I saw it in 2020, which is the year that we're currently in.
Yeah. No, we had Christmas, Jan. It's 2021. Biden's the president.
Oh, that's right, because Christmas already happened.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Omicron.
No,
Omicron.
It's Valentine's Day already.
Happy Pesach. Happy Passover.
It's
Happy
it's
Easter.
at least Valentine's Day, so what better way to celebrate it with the death of a loved one?
Yeah.
That's how we start this movie. Because today we're talking about For Your Eyes Only.
For your eyes only. I hate it. I hate this so much. I like it. I don't assume there's many behind the scenes drama. Can we get through that quickly?
Yes, there is.
Is there?
Well, there was Jake, I don't know if you want to cover it, but this was the movie where Roger Moore was like, replace me. I'll just go. Just get me out.
I'll go.
Finish it.
Well, yeah, no, they wanted to go with a new direction for James Bond because, I mean, after Moonraker, like, what can you do? Like, Bond going to...
It doesn't get better than that, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't, what are you going to do?
He's just like a wrinkled, like, trash bag by this point.
Yeah. And the pigeon died of old age. So, like,
I know.
He's outlived the pigeon.
It was after that pigeon, Roger Moore began to think about his mortality.
Look at
like,
Paul.
Maybe...
You hurt the man. He's so hurt.
That the pigeon is dead?
Hypothetically, in the year 2023, they're going to have a funeral for Ed Gwen, who played Santa Claus in A Miracle on 34th Street, because they left his ashes in storage, and they're just going to bury him in the year 2023. But they had a little service with a DVD of Miracle on 34th Street and pictures of him, and that's what I'm imagining Paul with this pigeon. It's like a Moonraker DVD, little framed portraits of
Troy,
the pigeon.
Is this real, or are you just like being possessed and
what are
like
you
just
talking
saying
about?
words?
I'm getting you the future. This happened on December 2nd, 2020. December 2nd or December 3rd, 2023.
This is another installment of Troy Stradamus.
Yeah, that is funny. My mom has told me, like, I love your podcast, but I cannot understand a word that guy Troy is saying.
I'm sorry. I'm here.
He sounds like the Charlie Brown adults. Wah, wah, wah.
Wah 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 Myrna Loy wah 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 wah
Wah, 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 wah.
The Bible in the beginning wah wah.
Wah, wah.
Anyway, so like we said before, today we were talking about For Your Eyes Only, a movie that was made. It was okay.
It was made. It was released. It was seen by some.
And that's the behind the scenes, folks. Let's get into
See you next time. Episode's done already. We're only 5 minutes in. Great. We
Yeah.
covered it.
We're doing better.
Let's watch Link.
Yeah, let's watch Link by Richard Franklin.
Link.
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 Mank.
Link is about a monkey that smokes a cigar.
And knows Elizabeth Shue.
It's the most charming movie ever made.
Link, man is no longer in control.
We could be talking about Link, but we're here for another 80s movie, For Your Eyes Only.
So they were going to replace Roger Moore with Timothy Dalton.
Who the fuck is that?
He's an actor. He was in The Lion in Winter.
He's just some dirty Welshman.
Wait, he was in Flash Gordon!
Oh, right, he's the bad guy. He's one of the bad guys. No, he's
an
one of the
ally.
good guys. Yeah,
He's Prince Baron.
No, he's a bad guy in Hot Fuzz and The Rocketeer, but those are not Flash Gordon. And then none of those movies are For Your Eyes Only.
The bad guy is Max von Sydow in Yellowface, right?
Yes. A future Bond villain, maybe sooner than we may imagine.
No, shut up, please.
Yay.
I want to hear nothing about that. Enough of this nonsense.
Okay.
So yeah, they wanted to replace him, but I think that was quickly kiboshed because they're just like, Roger, do you want to come back again? And then finally he was like, okay. And they were handing off the reins to John Glen, who we all know was the second unit director for On Her Majesty's Secret Service, amongst other Bond movies.
And the editor.
And the editor, yes.
Yep, another editor that got bumped up.
So apparently before they gave him the job, they asked Terrence Young if he wanted to do it. And he's like, I'm busy. And they asked Guy Hamilton, do you want to do it? And he's like, I can't set foot on British soil because I won't pay my taxes.
Yeah.
That's the most classic James Bond crew member thing.
I think they also asked Peter Hunt and Peter
Louis
Hunt's
Gilbert.
like,
They asked everyone. And they were all
they
like,
asked
no.
everyone, yeah. Peter Hunt, I think, was working on Death Hunt at the time.
Well, now we're stuck for like 5 movies with John Glen.
John Glen, who seems like a very nice guy, but
Much like Roger Moore.
much like Roger Moore, he's like the most workman-like filmmaker out of all the James Bond directors.
Go in, get the shots, get out.
Actually, his trademark though is Bond scaling some sort of cliff or something, and then a pigeon pops out. That happens in every single John Glen movie, and he admits it. He's like, that's my Hitchcock trademark, is jump scare pigeons.
Oh, Paul's lighting up. I see him. He's so happy.
Gonna restore John Glen's reputation.
As the pigeon master.
In fairness to Glenn, these 5 James Bond movies he directs during the 80s, and only the 80s, they are the first 5 movies I think he ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, for what, as bland as this movie is, as I think most of us will agree, this movie's not like poorly directed.
No. It's very competently done. No,
Yeah.
we're not saying that John Glen is incompetent. Like, he does the job. It's just that like there's no
pizzazz.
razzmatazz.
Yeah.
There's no pizzazz like
No
Peter
sauce.
Hunt when he came in. Yeah. No clout, no paper.
You know what he brings, though? He brings a lot of zip. He really, like, shoots for the edit. Like, that's what I noticed with this movie, is things just zipped by. Like, that's actually why this time I was like, oh, have I misjudged you, For Your Eyes Only? Because this had so much more zip than Moonraker, which felt like people were just standing around.
This is better than Moonraker, yeah.
It is.
This is actually James Bond going to exotic locations and doing fun things. It's not just like him going to rooms.
Even with the love triangle with the child, like, this was still better than Moonraker.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Somehow, we'll try to talk about it without getting demonetized. This is like Live and Let Die all over
and
again.
also Michael G. Wilson back on the script with Richard Maybaum.
Yeah.
And he was the one that spearheaded going, okay, we need to go back to Fleming. We need to go back to something that isn't about the gadgets, which is why Bond's Lotus blows up in the beginning of the movie.
Well, I hope you have a car.
We're going to move on from that. We're going to kill Blofeld in the first 5 minutes. Blofeld, who's not named, legally...
No, it's not Blofeld.
legally saved bald arch nemesis.
Because Kevin McClory was preparing his new franchise.
No, don't
And
mention it.
Who will return as Bond?
Don't
We can't
say it. Don't say it.
Never say it, Troy. Never.
Never say it
Say
again.
never again?
We'll never reference that movie again.
No.
Yeah, so they wanted to bring Bond into the 1980s. At first, they were toying, with a new actor, but then they're like, no, let's play it safe.
Because Timothy Dalton hated the script, from what I've read, and who could blame him, honestly?
It's just like pages.
Yeah, it's just pages of words.
I guess that's the problem with this movie is that they like wanted to bring it back to like the grounded Bond, but it's also like still kind of silly. Like they didn't fully commit. So what you end up with is like one of the most passive movie experiences I've ever like gone through.
Yeah, I would agree.
Welcome
with
to the John Glenn age of the Bond
Yes,
movies.
yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
What did we say last week? I don't know if we said it on the podcast, but we're like the early 80s are like objectively the worst period for James Bond. And I'm like,
Did we say that?
The Roger Moore era in general is like the hit or miss, because like when it hits, and when it misses, it fucking like misses.
It's like the most boring thing ever.
Yeah.
Roger Moore made my two worst James Bond movies, and he made my two of my top 5 best James Bond movies. This one is neither.
No, this is right in the middle.
Yeah.
It's not, I wouldn't even describe it as like a movie. It's just like when your desktop goes to sleep and like a little ball bounces around in your computer screen. This is what this movie is.
This is like the videos they make for cats to watch.
Yes.
Well, I was thinking, I'm like, the first note of For Your Eyes Only, the song, kind of sounds like your computer starting up.
That's the noise Roger Moore makes every time they have to roll him out of the trailer.
When they turn him on, his eyes go up wide.
You know who thought this movie was the most exciting movie he had ever seen?
Who?
Is it Roger Ebert?
No. Robert Bresson.
What?
Really?
Yeah, he said that. He's
Well,
like,
yeah, the motherfucker who shoots just like hands and donkeys, of course is gonna think this is the best movie ever.
oh my God, the car's off the road.
Oh, it's like, oh my God, they're emoting? What the fuck? They're making faces?
Like, he's like, this is the most exciting movie of 1981 I've ever seen. And I just imagine him leaning over at Louise Buñuel and going, oh wow, Carol Bouquet. She didn't move her face once. I like her.
Well, is that a reference to that obscure object of desire?
That came out a few years before.
Yeah, that's what got her this movie.
Yeah, she's great in that movie. She's
Not so much in this.
in this.
Yeah. I don't.
But we'll get to that. Yeah, so we got through all the behind-the-scenes drama. There was definitely not actual behind-the-scenes drama during the recording of this.
No, we never have any of that.
Unlike Eon Productions, there is no one on our team who has consistent issues. I am not the Harry Saltzman of this podcast. I refuse to be labeled.
And
the
if your hearing is well, you could notice that my mic is not working, and I had to use my laptop today. So we're off to a great start.
He's just joking. Silly Jake, shut the fuck up.
Professionals.
We're professionals.
No,
We know what
it's
we're
just
doing.
a new mic he got,
I would
and it's all
never
finicky.
let that happen to you, Jake.
Paul is such a good producer. He accounts for everything except what we don't tell him about and what we don't prepare him for.
So anyway, For Your Eyes Only.
Your eyes only. So the whole point of this opening was to set up the new Bond, but
They still did it anyway with this what did you call him, Jan? A wrinkled bag?
yeah.
It's just like, oh my God, that the scene where he's like in that Cuban pool party and he just looks so old.
And like they have to
Oh
make
my
everyone
goodness.
else older to make it work, and it's like,
It is the least sexy party I have ever seen in my life. That was my
It's
only note
disgusting.
when I was taking notes on this movie. The only note that I have for the entire movie is this is the least sexy party I have ever seen in my life.
It took me back to the trashiness of Diamonds Are Forever. I was like, oh,
A little bit.
old man, disgusting, degenerate party.
Yeah. And playing the most disgusting music ever.
Yeah.
Isn't he wearing like a sweater vest in it too? Which just
Something like that, yeah. But it's just like everyone's like dancing to 80s. Again, like just
terrible
like
80s music.
terrible 80s, just like the 70s hit James Bond like a bag of bricks. The 80s hit it like a bag of bricks.
Oh my god, yeah, no, it's like we're fully into the 80s, like when this movie starts. You're just
There
like,
was
oh,
really
crap.
no transitions between these decades, was there?
No, not at all. It was just like hard bang. We're in the
much
80s
like
now.
Live and Let Die, the score comes in and it's like, it's hip, it's choral, it's the 80s.
It sounds like Autobahn from The
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
Lebowski.
Zangelix is in the house, yeah.
first time I saw this movie, it really annoyed me. But the second time, I'm like, oh, the 80s. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me. It's just so weird. Like Roger Moore, he just looks so fucking rough.
Well, and he's the first one to admit it because he didn't even want to do like the not romantic thing with the underage Olympic woman.
That was a good call. I mean, it's pretty shocking to see James Bond like urging a woman to put clothes on. But you're also like, oh, thank God. Like,
Well, this is the movie where James Bond finally finds a woman that's too young for him.
yeah.
And oh boy, we're kind of already doing the autopsy of the movie as we begin. But like the two biggest issues this movie faces is that James Bond's relationship doesn't work and the villain doesn't work.
And there are two of the biggest things that need to work in a
Yeah.
James Bond movie.
Yeah, they're kind of important.
Well, in the script, it already kind of seems like Roger Moore's already in like a fatherly role. Like, despite his age, he's already like giving like sage advice on do not take revenge, even though the beginning of the movie, which we need to get
It's
to,
him
but the
taking revenge.
beginning of the movie is him getting revenge for the death of his wife.
No, the whole plot of the movie is like the whole theme is revenge is bad, but they just keep doing revenge with no repercussion.
That's the whole issue with the movie. The whole issue of the movie is seen in that pre-title sequence where you see Bond at Tracy's grave confirming, oh yeah, there's continuity, like
Paul?
explicitly.
Paul,
Yeah,
codename theory does not exist.
That could have been any Teresa, you know.
It's true.
But it said 1969 on the tombstone.
1969. They're the same person.
It is weird that she's buried. Like, I definitely would have thought Teresa's dad would have had a big Italian, like, crypt for, like, that whole family. Like, they seem like the kind. So it is a
Yeah,
little
well,
weird
because
she's
they were
buried in
like
some
drug
19
dealers or something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what's even funnier? Apparently,
She didn't even die in England.
well, with the idea of that opening scene, apparently the choice of where the gravesite was near a retirement home with a golf course.
Because Roger Moore lived there.
Yeah. So they were gonna go like, oh well, Roger Moore is old in the retirement home, and now we're moving on from Moore, and now there's this new guy, but then they changed it up, or like it was supposed to be like a subtle reminder in the background.
What does that mean? Like if it would have been
That's the thing, is that I'm not really sure.
They would have cast like a 30-year-old
Timothy
looking at the grave of his dead wife from 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, and
There's a retirement home in the background.
Don't think it, feel it.
If you think this is ridiculous, just wait until they explicitly acknowledge Tracy in License to Kill. And you're still like, all right, we're pushing it. By the time you get to the Brosnan era, they really got to stay vague with the references
with the
to her.
continuity, yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, how long has this man been around?
No, and like you'd think like, well, going back to like how they decided to keep this like 75-year-old man to be James Bond, you know, usually a good trick is to like cast one of his superiors as like an even older man. Like the new M should have been like 90, but it's like a twink. It's like
Ah, there you are, 007.
Bill Tanner's a twink.
yeah.
He's a sexy middle-aged British.
Wait, yeah, Jan, what do you think a twink is?
Just like a sexy middle-aged British man.
No!
What are you talking, like a twink in like a retirement home? What are
Yeah, I
you
mean,
saying?
I mean a twink in the James Bond universe where everyone is old and bloated.
Okay, well, speaking of the age thing, I also read on our trusty source, Wikipedia, that, spoilers, our villain, Julian Glover, was at some point they thought about him for Bond.
Yeah.
And was it Broccoli or one of the producers said, well, back then he was too young. And now he's too old.
Yeah.
He's like 8 years younger than Roger Moore.
Roger's like, by this point, he's like rocking the Donald Trump hair. He's
It's the 80s.
No, his hair gets like lighter as he gets older, which is, it's not white, it's like blonde. It gets like really red and blonde as he gets older.
Yeah, it's completely blonde almost, and like it's got so much like hair product to like hide his bald spots.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting choice that they went there instead of just the classic Bond toupee.
Well, I think Roger Moore clung to his hair for as long as he possibly could.
Yeah, but you can definitely see like they're struggling to make him look.
They're struggling, but like we got 3 more movies of this. This is like half of his tenure. He looks like this. I'm just.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say about the opening apart from like the fact that it's like
I don't
idiotic.
know what to say about the opening. You got Blofeld.
Well, you got some insane helicopter stunts.
Yeah.
Like going around this
those are
factory
gold.
space.
You got the priest saying "Godspeed, James Bond."
Yeah.
Jan, if our attitude to this movie is I don't know what to say about this random crazy scene, we're not gonna have an episode.
No, but like I think my problem with the opening scene is it's meant to be like out with the old and with the new, we're going serious Bond, but it's like counterintuitive because it's like the goofiest shit ever.
Well,
to,
that's
like,
the whole
introduce
issue with the movie is the movie's trying to be on Her Majesty's Secret Service, but it keeps defaulting back to Diamonds Are Forever.
Yeah, like it literally ends with a fucking like slide whistle of Blofeld falling in like.
Yeah.
He's going down the chimney.
Mr. Bond!
Mr. Bond!
And it's like, when the fuck did Blofeld have that accent? Like, what is
They
going
were
on?
trying to do like Donald Pleasance and Telly Savalas at the same time. Like, it's weird. They did 3 very different takes on Blofeld, and then to make you realize it's Blofeld, they merge them all together in some Frankenstein Blofeld.
And why is he wearing a neck brace?
I think that's a reference to On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a sequel to that.
And then he also probably got messed up in Diamonds.
Here's the thing that I think is kind of nice, because John Glen started out as the 2nd unit director and editor of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and bringing Bond back to the Ian Fleming roots, he used it as an opportunity to give like a nod to his friend Peter Hunt, who got him his first gig 2nd unit directing and stuff. So it's in that sort of way, it's kind of nice to see him go like, hey, Peter Hunt, On Her Majesty's Secret Service wasn't a waste and a box office flop. Everybody likes it. Tip of the hat to you. But yeah, it has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
It sets up the themes of the movie about revenge, except it
the theme of revenge, it completely contradicts the entire theme of the movie.
Well, like the whole idea of the movie, I think, is that James Bond, and yes, the movie, again, one of its bigger failures is it doesn't know how to execute its theme. But like, I guess the whole idea here is that James Bond feels he's been broken by revenge, that he doesn't want someone else to be consumed by revenge.
But that would be something if we had like a scene where like Bond is grappling with the fact that he's like, well, I dropped my arch nemesis down a chimney.
It has none of
and
that.
I feel nothing.
But also,
it doesn't have
I'd like
that.
to point out, James Bond does not have revenge in this scene. He is attacked, and he acts out of self-defense to hook a guy up on a chair, and then Blofeld goes, I'll give you a delicatessen in stainless steel.
I'll buy you a delicatessen in stainless steel.
And
That's pretty great.
The most famous line in the entire movie, because everybody's like, why the fuck would Blofeld give him a delicatessen?
Did you find out?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Albert R. Broccoli said that gangsters in the 1930s would like offer delicatessens with stainless steel countertops.
Oh, that's such bullshit.
People.
That's not the
Yeah. No, that's what he said is the reason.
What makes it even funnier coming from Albert R. Broccoli going like, oh yeah, this is the thing that gangsters would say to each other when they're about to be whacked or something. It's just like, how do you know that? Do you have experience in doing that? That's my question. Why are you telling me this?
It's such a
How do you have
pulled
such
out of my ass
insights?
answer.
Read about Albert Broccoli in the 1930s, what he allegedly did.
He's like, gangsters offering delicatessens is not science fiction, okay? It's science fact.
But it's such a weird quirk that I'm like, okay, but how do you know this? Who told you this? Did you experience this?
What's amazing is
going
that
on?
this is supposed to be like the movie that tries to ground James Bond again, but this scene and the delicatessen line is what people always use as an example to point out why Roger Moore movies are just insane, like camp, you know?
Yeah, no, that's the issue, is you cannot ground Roger Moore's Bond. It is impossible.
He is the fantasy, like, cartoon version of James Bond.
And
like,
that's what messes up the movie, is if the movie had Bond, like if it opened like the good Casino Royale, and like it had him
the
like
67 one.
Yes, exactly. And if it had him blowing up Blofeld's Scottish estate and killing him, and then he was haunted by that for the
No,
rest
if he
of the
killed
movie.
himself by blowing up.
Blofeld killed himself
Blofeld killed
by blowing
himself.
up James Bond's house. Which basically is the opening to For Your Eyes Only.
And he has to go give his neck brace to Blofeld's wife.
Yes, he has to go get the neck brace to Blofeld's wife. It's a family heirloom.
It can only be regarded as a heirloom.
And then he has to not have sex with Blofeld's daughters.
But yeah, so we have this fun, ridiculous scene, and then there's no transition to the opening credits. It's just like, boom, like, here they are. And
Well, here's my conspiracy theory about that. My conspiracy theory is that the movie was supposed to start with the sinking of the ship.
Yes.
oh yeah, because it's water themed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it starts out with the sinking of the ship, Melina's family getting murdered, and then that zoom into the eyes,
Yeah,
and then
the
that
zoom
was
into her
supposed to
eye.
cut into
No,
the
you're
beginning.
totally right.
No, that's what happened. But you know why they did the Blofeld thing also? Like, why that was such a last-minute ass pull? It was to get one over on Kevin McClory and kill the character off so he couldn't use him. I'm not joking. Like, they
bastards.
basically have said that.
Spite wins out in the end. I was gonna say that's one of the more interesting things is that Melina is not the greatest character ever, but she does get an introduction that's like her own sequence, you know?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
She had so much potential as this crossbow-wielding badass whose parents are killed because they're trying to find this ship that has the British nuclear codes on it. And she is like this badass, and I think she could have been cool, but she's too young for Roger Moore. And John Glen, I think the writer actually complained. He's like, John Glen did not care about the love story, and he did not direct any love scenes. And
There's like
he
no
cut them.
chemistry there. Like at the end when they start shagging is so out of left field.
Well, it feels like the relationship should be more like Bond and Camille in Quantum of Solace, because that's kind of a similar thing where she's.
Ooh.
I don't even remember that movie, man, so I can't.
We'll get to it.
I kind of see. When I saw Quantum of Solace, I'm like, this is the improved second draft of For Your Eyes Only. But now after watching For Your Eyes Only
The
again,
movie without a script.
Yeah.
well, yeah. Again, two things
That's
in
the
common.
thing is that when you're trying to make Bond give sage advice on the nature of vengeance, it turns out for a kind of a meh movie.
Yeah. And also like the opening credits I think are like so representative of the movie that we're gonna watch because they're like nothing. Like
I love.
Well, look, it's
we get to see Sheena Easton
are you
sing.
fucking kidding? Am I really in the minority that this song is boring?
No, the song is definitely
like
one
the
of the
song,
better
okay.
ones.
This was nominated for
My
an
God.
Oscar.
The song is boring as fuck.
No.
The visuals are boring as fuck. Like it's
we get
lame
it. We get the
opening.
music video to the song as
Yeah.
the opening title sequence.
Again,
which is
the
kind of
80s
fun.
has hit Bond with both a
Boring.
bag of bricks because I guess one of them was like, oh, we should put this singer on screen, which I guess is kind of mean to the other musicians.
Oh, Popo went to Paul McCartney. They were like, what?
he wasn't sexy enough to
Yes.
intercut with
Burning Skulls.
yeah.
Wait, but guys, did you read? Apparently, Sheena Easton. Okay, two things. Sheena Easton was tied to a chair in order to get these dollies.
Her head was literally put in a vice.
Yeah.
Like she couldn't move because they were shooting it in 70 millimeter for all the effect shots. So if she moved a little bit, she would go out of focus. So then Maurice Binder put her in a vice, basically, to keep her still enough so that they can get focus, so they can get the plates to put her over the...
It's so interesting that
sequence.
they opted for, like, Abu Dhabi torture methods to shoot, like, one of the lamest opening sequences in the series.
It's not lame. It's honestly, it's cool.
As Roger Moore said, I think Sheena Easton's the sexiest part of any of my Bond movies. I wish we had a Bond girl like her in my movies. And I'm like, okay, Roger.
Oh. She was 21 at the time.
Yeah,
I guess... This is coming from the same guy who's like, I don't know if I can get with these younger women at this point. This is ridiculous.
Well, Roger Moore was also like, I don't know if I can kill people as James Bond anymore.
Which, as we learned in a later movie, Spectre, you shouldn't do. Like, Bond's arc should not be, I shouldn't kill people.
Yeah, it's great when a movie has a script and develops its themes.
No, it's not. No.
But the thing is, this is a James Bond movie.
James Bond movies can be real movies.
Here, at least he's saying there's nothing wrong with killing. Just revenge is bad. Only Bond can kill people.
Killing
no,
is
Topol can also kill people.
But not in the movies. In real life too. We give Topol the.
Topol can kill me if he wants. Okay.
Topol gets the pass.
That's why it's called Fiddler on My Dick.
Fiddler on my dongle.
Fiddler on my dongle. Why do we stay up there if it's so dangerous?
If I were a hungry man. All day long I'd bitty bomb.
You may ask, how did this get started? I'll tell you. I don't know.
Guys, can we talk about Fiddler on the Roof? It's more interesting than Your Eyes Only.
Oh, Fiddler on the Roof is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I wouldn't go that far.
But I mean, I'm Jewish. So.
My dad actually proposed to my mom at a production of Fiddler on the Roof, which is hilarious because she doesn't like Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, why'd he do that then?
Because he likes Fiddler on the Roof.
To distract her, to give her something, to look forward to.
Something to think about. No.
Something to
drink about. Drink lechaim to life. Okay, for your eyes only.
All right, for your eyes only.
Jake, Wikipedia didn't say anything about this, but Melina is dubbed, yes?
Yes.
I don't. Is she?
She is. I read that up. She is the last main Bond girl to be dubbed.
Who dubbed her?
Some
Roger Moore.
You're gonna make me look this up, Jake?
No, I didn't know that she was dubbed. I didn't know that someone else dubbed her.
Okay, Melina. Well, yeah, because she couldn't speak
Because she
English.
still sounds French. She's supposed to be a Greek person, but she sounds French, and she's...
No, she's British Greek.
Carole Bouquet is not French? Interesting.
Wait, she is.
No, she is French.
You're English, but I'm half Greek. And Greek women, like Electra, always avenged their loved ones.
You know what would be cool is if they used AI to replicate Bernard Lee's voice for her, so we still feel his presence in this movie.
Good God.
Wait, so your point is that you wouldn't use Bernard Lee to be like a voice on a phone, but you'd have him dub over.
Yeah, Carole Bouquet.
It's the way to make him feel like he's still with us. It's like Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, the same people keep...
Every woman that Bond meets is just Bernard Lee.
It's a reincarnation of Bernard.
In the short story For Your Eyes Only, Bond goes to avenge the Havelocks murder on behalf of M. It's a personal mission.
Yeah.
Because M's friends with them. But that's not what happens in this movie because Bernard Lee was dying. So this is our only M-less James Bond.
But we get Bill Tanner, as Jan said,
the British twink.
The British twink, Bill Tanner.
You were meant to question Gonzalez, not let Miss Havelock perforate him.
Also, a side note on the short stories. This is based on For Your Eyes Only and Risico.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Risico. Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody's been going like, whenever there's a Bond movie in development, they're like, obviously they're going to call it Risico, right?
That's what I would do.
But I'm like, but they already adapted Risico into
they made a movie called Moonraker, but that wasn't Moonraker.
Yeah, but it had the moon in it.
There's the moon's not in the book Moonraker.
Well, can we rewrite it so that we can put the moon in Moonraker?
They did. There's a Moonraker novelization.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, it's called James Bond and Moonraker, written by Christopher Wood.
Wait, Moonraker's like a guy?
No, well, no, Moonraker is Moonraker, the space shuttle built by Hugo Drax. Not to be confused with Moonraker, built by Hugo Drax in the novel Moonraker, which is an ICBM.
But Moonraker is not For Your Eyes Only, which is the movie that we're talking about right
Did you know in the original script for Your Eyes Only, Jaws was supposed to show up with his wife and be like, "I'm retired, James." But then they were like,
I knew that he was supposed to show up. I didn't know that he was going to be with his wife. I would assume that they would have just used him again.
That's nice.
Oh boy. Anyway, my point with the short stories is that they were written to be episodes of a James Bond television show.
Oh.
And that fell through. And Ian Fleming just decided to turn them into short stories and later published them in For Your Eyes Only.
That's one of my favorite James Bond content is the short stories. I really like the Octopussy one.
Anyway, back to the movie. I wanted to talk about Bill Conti really quick.
Okay.
Because
who's that?
I'm a huge fan of Bill Conti. I love the score to Rocky, Karate Kid, amongst others. I fucking hate this score.
It's
awful.
Fucking
hate it.
It's fucking
It is so bad.
filth.
It's just, it feels like the disco didn't die. Even though this is like an 80s, everything else about this movie seems 80s, but this is like reeks of like late 70s. Like you're in like a cocaine filled like den basically, and people are like dancing with their fucking sideburns and suits. And it's like, I'm like, no, this isn't right.
It's very intense for an oddly laid back film.
Yeah, and you have like weird disco music, like especially during the car chase, the Castle Cagliostro car chase in the beginning.
Oh yeah,
it's being scored with like unused takes from like Rocky 3.
Yeah, no, I don't like the score, but like, I mean, do we even need to talk about the plot because it's like super? This is literally just your classic James Bond goes against the Russians.
No, I wouldn't say it's the classic. This is the first movie with a twist villain.
Yeah, which is why Kristatos kind of sucks as a villain.
Yeah,
because
that's
you
why
don't
he
know
doesn't
he's
work.
a villain until an hour and a half way through.
It's like, oh, this evil-looking Greek man that looks like the devil. The twist is that he's the bad guy. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, yeah, but in a James Bond movie, Jan, by the standards of a James Bond movie, that's
And
like
the thing
Catcher in
is
the Rye.
that we've seen a villain played by Crispin Glover, not Crispin Glover.
God, I'm horny.
Julian Glover. That would be a
There's
different
Mr.
movie.
Wint. Mr. Wint.
Wint's Mr. Wint. Yeah, but Julian Glover, we already seen him be a twist villain in a better movie and a better villain in Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Basically, Kristatos and
Well,
Walter Donovan are
we've
the
already
same.
seen it,
Yeah.
but at the time that hadn't happened yet. So
It hasn't happened yet. So I was thinking about this while watching the movie because the whole movie's like a mystery. Like James Bond has to figure out who's the agent who is trying to get the nuclear codes from the sunken submarine to the Russians. And you track down like the assassin of Melina's parents who gets killed in a very confusing crossbow bolt diving incident where she shoots him with a crossbow. Then there's the guy who was at the party who actually is who James Bond is kind of following and fighting for most of the movie. And then you get the Kristatos. And I as we've said before, you got to nail the Bond girl and you got to nail the Bond villain. And I actually think, I'm going to make a bold claim here.
They're not the worst, Troy. Come on.
No, I'm making the claim.
Oh my
Putting
God.
aside my issues of Mr. Big, I think Kristatos is the worst James Bond villain.
Of all time?
whoa.
In the movies. Yes, I actually think he functions the weakest.
I'd have to think about that, but
There are worse movies, but all the villains work better in them than Kristatos.
maybe
does.
so far he may be the blandest one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
Yeah, he's not memorable. He's not fun. He somehow has this awful ice skating coach subplot that derails the frickin' movie. And it's
James
gross.
Bond has something with like bobsleds and skiing. Like it's like.
Well, yeah, because they're like
obsessed
on Her
with it.
Majesty's Secret Service. The whole movie is like, remember on Her Majesty's Secret Service? Do you remember it? Do you remember it? And I'm like, leave me alone.
Yeah, we want to do On Her Majesty's Secret Service minus the romance.
Yeah, the one thing that we liked about that movie.
Yeah, all the love scenes between Bond and Melina are like, did you get the file? I sent that to you in an email.
No,
It's
and
a
it's
PDF.
one of those James Bond movies where like when they're talking about the plot, you can just like check out. Like it's like they're talking about nothing. It's just like, did you get the transcoder for the thing for the nuclear? And it's like, this does not matter. I do want to mention, related to the villains, like I do love the fact that they reuse the set for the Russians from The Spy Who Loved Me.
Oh yeah, Gogol's back. That's the best part of the movie.
Gogol's back, but in this movie, like it really makes you miss like how The Spy Who Loves Me is shot, you know, because that set looks so much cooler in that movie.
Yeah, I think this is the first movie they did without Ken Adams, like in a while. Like he's not coming back. Like Ken Adams is gone.
No.
So you're like, oh, remember Ken?
Oh, also, can we ask, before we go into the ask, what do we think of the Moneypenny scene? Because, like, not just Roger Moore's starting to look old as fuck, but, you know, Moneypenny, when they're, like, flirting, I was, like, watching it through my fingers. Like, I was so scared that they were gonna start boinking.
It is age-appropriate flirting.
Well, exactly.
It's just, in a retirement home.
Near the cemetery.
It's like, would you...
like, wait, you know what I noticed this time? I forget if we're still keeping track of this. They do the hat thing.
Yeah, no, that's what I was about to say. The hat comes back.
They really emphasize it. That's the only thing I noted about that scene is she like is like doing her makeup or something in the mirror and then rack focus, the hat lands.
The hat, it's awesome.
And we're like, what?
But then it's like horrifying. 2 80-year-olds are going like, like putting their
I'm glad
lipstick
that they
to
like each other because I just felt like he didn't like Moneypenny.
No,
but
that's the thing. Is like this is the first time that we see genuine flirting with Roger Moore and Moneypenny, but it's when they're 78.
Yeah,
like
I mean, by the time we get to the next movie, they're already like, here's young me. Remember young
mature
me?
Bond,
yeah. It's sure, but anyways, the Alps, I guess.
Well, the one thing I want to note about the car chase is that he's like, I hope you have a car, and they gets in a little Citroen, like almost a Beetle.
Yeah, it's like Mission Impossible.
Exactly.
Well, I was gonna say Castle of Cagliostro.
either one, take your pick.
Basic
But
car chase
but
rules.
car chase is always better with a tiny car that gets completely beat up. They flip it over a bunch of times, and I think when he looks at it, doesn't the score do like a wah wah kind of thing?
Yeah, it does. Like well, that's the thing with the movie. It's like it's constantly being like, this is the serious Bond, and then it does like.
Can I say, like, while this movie is broken on a story level, this watch, I kind of got what Bresson was talking about with, like, the car chase. And, like when the movie's doing stuff like the car chase and it's just zipping, it was fun. It was moving. It was.
I mean, despite the Bill Conti music, it's fine.
Glenn has interesting angles.
No, I enjoyed that car chase.
I know that part is really fun. Yeah, this movie truly is a sculpting in time.
It is like Linus stating in that tweet.
Yeah.
Oh, Jan's mom is gonna get that reference.
Okay.
Anyways, gets to the Alps.
He meets Christados, who's sponsoring a teenager named BB.
Yeah, BB Doll, a reference to the 1956 Tennessee Williams, Eli Kazan, maybe not Tennessee Williams, but definitely Eli Kazan movie, Baby Doll, about an underage child bride.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn.
Okay.
Go on.
It's funny. So the producers see Roger Moore getting older, and they're like, you know what we should have him do now that he's super old? Have him say how much he doesn't want to have sex
with children. Yeah. In the commentary for this movie, Roger Moore was like, man, I'm the ambassador of UNICEF. Like, I can't be doing this shit.
Every time Roger Moore walks into set, he has to, like, call UNICEF and apologize. He's like, I'm sorry. This movie is like, have you guys ever seen the Burt Reynolds film Gator?
Burt Reynolds is Gator, and inside of 10 minutes, he's going to destroy 14 boats. He's going to wreck dozens of cars. Blow up a motel. A man of stamina, strength, and boundless energy, the one and only Burt Reynolds.
Now, we know you in there. We coming to get you, Gator.
We've talked about it on the podcast before, haven't we?
Yeah,
so
we
the
have.
whole point
Yeah,
of Gator
it's the
is
second time we. Congratulations, we mentioned Gator starring Burt Reynolds twice.
Check it off on your bingo sheets, folks.
Gator. Anyway, if you watch the movie Gator, Burt Reynolds, it's like he had a contract that the movie is about all the things that Gator hates. So Gator hates racism, Gator hates drugs, and Gator hates sleeping with underage children, and he brings it up a lot.
So Gator's a man, not like an alligator.
No, but he lives in Louisiana, so legally he also counts as an alligator.
Okay.
He has the same rights as an alligator.
Yeah, he broke
got
out
the
of
same
Ross
legal
Kananga's
status.
farm.
Every gator is entitled to his bowl of gumbo.
James Bond had to jump over
gumbo.
him in Live and
But
Let
wait,
Die.
what was the point of Gator?
Burt Reynolds is Gator, and inside of 10 minutes, he's going to destroy 14 boats. He's going to wreck dozens of cars. Blow up a motel. A man of stamina, strength, and boundless energy, the one and only Burt Reynolds.
Now, we know you in there. We coming to get you, Gator.
So the point of Gator is he's not a pedophile. Much like this plot in For Your Eyes Only. James Bond.
Okay.
You could have picked so many other characters.
No, but Gator says it a lot. He looks into the camera and goes, "I do not sleep with underage children." And I'm like, okay, Gator.
So does Mr. Incredible.
Yeah,
All right. So James Bond does a lot of skiing. It's very haphazard because there are people chasing him, and then they stop, and then they chase him, and they stop, and then he's on a bobsled.
wait. All right, so question. So the guy chasing him is the boyfriend of the girl who keeps getting naked in his bed and is a child.
No. It's not the boyfriend. It's just another guy that she has a crush on. Who's
okay.
the Russian Olympic sharpshooting champion.
So they're not even part of the conspiracy, are they?
Yeah, he's also a KGB agent who's facilitating the exchange of the MacGuffin device.
Oh, okay.
to the
So it's
Russians.
another one of those classic, these people, they're part of it too. Oh.
Yes.
You know.
Now, question. So the guy chasing James Bond, does he have a gun in his ski, like in The Spy Who Loved Me?
No, that's his Olympic firing rifle.
Okay.
I don't know. That, like I said, I'm very checked out during this movie, so I can't
and Charles
really...
Dance is one of the guys who chased James
It is
Bond.
important, yes. This was his first movie role. I checked IMDb, and of course, people will know him from whatever
Game of Thrones.
A lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
But I also looked up
Mank. Everybody knows him.
That's
as
the
Mank.
thing I was gonna say. I like to think that he's here because he's looking for Mank.
He's following me.
He's chasing Mank. Unfortunately, this is not a Mank script.
Yeah, it's like waiting for Godot, but it's like waiting for Mank.
But Mank never
he never shows up.
That's the real tragedy of this movie is Charles Dance dies and he never gets to meet Mank. The other thing I learned on IMDb, though, Jake, did you know this? He played Ian Fleming in a TV movie.
Yes, I did. I think it's called GoldenEye or something. Like that.
Yes.
I watched the beginning of it, and he does a pretty good job recreating, because I think the beginning of the movie is a recreation of this CBS interview he did, and it was a pretty good job.
Okay.
He's a lot more evil looking than Ian Fleming. I mean, Ian Fleming was an evil person.
He was a despicable man.
He's a despicable man, but Charles Dance just looks like a villain.
But Ian Fleming
didn't have a villain look.
Cuddly.
Enough of this liberal revisionism.
Have you seen pictures of Ian Fleming, Jake? He always has a Cruella de Vil cigarette holder and a gun.
There's something scarier when it's Charles Dance doing that, though. Charles Dance just looks like a bad guy.
Charles Dance would be a good M, I feel like.
I actually was going to say he'd be a great Bond villain, and he should be specifically seeking revenge for getting killed in For Your Eyes Only, and the new guy is just like, what?
You tie everything back together. He visits his wife's grave, the new guy, and it says from 1942 to 1969 on Tracy's grave.
Wait. Okay, so question. So Tracy is Italian and buried in an English cemetery.
Unfortunately, yes.
Vesper Lind is an English woman in No Time to Die buried in an Italian cemetery. Why?
How do you know that?
So I think John Glen's direction in the ski sequence, again, it's very cool. You get like POV shots from behind the rifle, like a sniper's eye view of Bond. He's bringing some unique directorial tricks to the table.
No, he's a good director. Like we said, there's just no sauce, nothing particular like this movie's doing.
He's not goated with the sauce. Although,
yeah.
I will say, I mean, one of the most electrifying scenes in this movie is when Bond is just standing there next to scary men playing hockey.
Oh yeah,
that is
turns
incredible.
into Dogma for a second.
Yeah, no, that is the first scene in the movie where you're like, okay, this does kind of feel like a classic James Bond fever dream.
Yeah, that whole hockey scene, and that's kind of, again, it's the movie in a nutshell. It's like, it feels so gritty, and like it's not played for laughs. It's like gritty and grounded.
What are you talking about? He fucking hits them into a goalpost, and then it's like he keeps score.
But it's shot dark.
And then he hits a guy with a Zamboni.
I agree with Troy. Like I think that that scene is like extremely like sinister, like the way it is
like
presented.
it's so weird. It should be a joke, but it's not shot like a joke.
It's like the Ninja Turtles cartoon where it's just like, oh, there's a scary bad guy, but then it's like, boink.
I mean, what's happening is ridiculous, but it's presented very seriously.
Yeah.
In the beginning, and then it gets silly. Which kind of goes to the problem that we're having with this movie. That like,
exactly.
It wants to be serious. Oh, wait, we didn't mention Q's face device. Wait,
yeah, because that's like, they're taking it so seriously, like, reconstructing this guy's face on this computer, and it's literally like
that's from Goldfinger, the book.
But it doesn't matter. It's literally like a meme maker from the Wii.
It is
from the Nintendo Wii.
It's basically a police sketch. They invented police sketching,
but it looks like shit. And James Bond is going like, yeah, that's the guy, and it's just like a smiley face with glasses.
No, and it's so funny, and then Q keeps fucking it up, and the nose is getting like too long. He's like, whoops, sorry. And then it like hard cuts, and they're like there for hours, and then like the Q's assistant is giving them coffee. She's like, you need me to lock up? No, I'll lock up.
That's my favorite detail is it's a buzling office, and then there's still like eyes a little further apart and nobody's there, and it's empty and it's dark, and it's like, oh, they made
a crude 3-dimensional cartoon.
It looks it's like, have you seen that guy that like he shows a police sketch in like the news and it looks like a Charlie Brown like doodle?
Yeah. Oh, that could be a crackhead.
Could be a crackhead.
It's like that. I just imagine James Bond going like, have you seen this man? And it's just like a smiley face.
You're talking about the leprechaun guy?
Yeah, the leprechaun guy. Troy, you said this is the worst villain, and I will say this is the worst henchman.
The leprechaun guy?
Could be a crackhead.
He's fine. The guy with the glasses.
He's just me. He's just the white guy with glasses.
Yeah, but that's why he's scary. It's like,
am I scary?
Why, if you had Jan like following you around a ski slope with a gun, I think what this movie does well is it handles small firearms and crossbows great. Whenever someone's carrying a little gun, it feels like they're carrying a dagger. So they're like chasing each other through the ski slope, and they're like sneaking in and sneaking around. And it's like, it's very cloak and daggery at parts. Even though it's ridiculous, they did try to make it feel like more like a spy thriller.
Yeah, no, attempts were made.
It's fine. What's not cool is when children get naked. What is cool is when he puts clothes on her and then he doesn't quip about buying her ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he's like, I'm going to remind you that you're very young.
Don't you like me?
Why, I think you're wonderful, Bibi, but I don't think your Uncle Harry would approve.
Him? He thinks I'm still a virgin.
Yes, well, you get your clothes on. I'll buy you an ice cream.
And it's weird because they imply the villain is maybe in love with her too, or is that her doing another joke about how all men are in love with her?
It's not clear.
Yeah, it's just
though at this point we know that Christados is the villain, so if he was also
Do we?
Yeah, no, but like when she says that thing, it's when they're in the monastery at the end.
Oh yeah, when she says it in the movie, which is like with 10 minutes to go. Yes.
Right.
Want to win the gold medal?
We all want that.
I know what you want, but you're too old for me.
So then you find that out, and you're like, oh, he is even more of a bad guy.
Yeah, he's awful. He sucks. Oh, did we talk about that cool moment in the hotel room where Bond like sprays hair mist and he gets like a name of like an informant?
Oh yeah, that's kind of
that
cool.
was cool.
When he meets up with Italian Inspector Clouseau.
Yeah, but that's pretty much all of this movie is just like, remember this, and I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of do. That was cool. What's that? Like,
and then he gets killed. He gets killed after the hockey assassins try to kill Bond. Like Bond goes to his car, and then he's like dead. And he has the little dove, because they're trying to frame Cristados, because that's like his trademark.
Oh yeah.
And then he gets a scene with Carol Bouquet where he spews revenge, like sage wisdom, and it's boring as fuck. There's no chemistry there.
The Chinese have a saying, before setting out on revenge, you first dig 2 graves.
And like, I feel like Carol Bouquet, like, she's not really involved in this plot at all. She just keeps like showing up.
She just keeps popping in, yeah.
Yeah, she just keeps popping in.
I still want revenge. Don't get revenge. It's not good. You can't tell me what to do.
Like when they're fucking scuba diving and and Roger Moore just shows up. I'm like, where the fuck did you come from? Like, it's, he just
he
shows
needs
up.
to go to her because I guess her dad invented the device, and so she knows the coordinates of where the ship was sunk from the beginning of the movie.
But I don't know. It's like
the MacGuffin.
We learned very few lessons from The Spy Who Loved Me. How it's cool when the Bond girl is on the mission with him and isn't just some random lady that pops up every hour.
Like, they have all the ingredients for that right there. Like on paper, she should be like the most invested Bond girl, but then the movie just goes, eh.
Yeah. Just nothing.
Yeah, we gotta do the Gator subplot.
Burt Reynolds is Gator, and inside of 10 minutes he's going to...
No!
We gotta do James
Gator
Bond.
shows up?
We already talked about Gator
that's Live and Let Die. That's the Gator subplot.
Actually, they took something from the book Live and Let Die for this movie when her and Bond get like dragged behind the boat. That's the big finale to the book Live and Let Die.
Oh yeah, that's true. Except the book to Live and Let Die, the ending is a lot more violent.
And probably racist.
Yes.
Then how Dr. Kananga dies, the ending is more violent.
No, well, Bond puts a mine on the boat while they're dragging him. And they're dragging him across the coral reef, and he's like timing it. I was like, hopefully I won't get too cut up and like get eaten by barracuda before like before the boat blows up. And then finally the boat blows up, and then everybody dies horribly. And then there's like this description of Mr. Big getting like eaten. They say like his hand popped up, but there was no wrist attached. And then his head popped up, but there was no body attached.
Notice how we are not talking about For Your Eyes Only.
Because this movie's...
It's not much to talk about. It's one of those.
Well, wait. Yeah. So James Bond, we're at the point in the movie where James Bond puts on the tuxedo, goes to the casino, and he meets Topol.
Topol! Woo!
And you know who Topol's girlfriend is in this movie?
Pierce Brosnan's wife.
It's Pierce Brosnan's wife.
The one that died?
Yes, the one that died.
Oh.
Yeah. Does this make Roger Moore and Pierce Brosnan's wife the only Bond having a pairing with another Bond's wife?
I guess so. But who cares? What do we think about Topol?
Topol's amazing.
Topol's
it's
incredible.
So funny because when Topol shows up, you're just like, he is obviously not the villain here because it's Topol.
Yeah, exactly. And we love Topol.
And like, I love it when he's like, when he goes back into his office and he's listening in on Cristados and Bond's conversation, where Cristados is obviously not the villain here, going like, Topol might be evil. Oh no, his name is Columbo.
But I must warn you, stopping Columbo will be difficult. He has important connections. You cannot just arrest him. You must find a different way. You may have to kill him.
And we're like, no, he isn't. He's Topol. I don't know. Whenever I see Topol in a movie, I start like tearing up. He's like our Sidney Poitier or something. He's like...
I just imagine the ghost of Zero Mostel like haunting Jan now. He's like, you compliment Topol.
Oh, sorry. I love you, Zero, but you have nothing on Topol. Topol is one of the best Israeli exports ever. It's like Topol, hummus, and Waltz with Bashir. Those are the big three.
Oh, wow. I didn't know Waltz with Bashir was...
That's pretty good.
It's a really good movie. Have you seen Topol's first movie ever?
No. What is
It's
it?
called. It's one of the weirdest movies I've ever fucking seen. It was made by Menachem Golem. It's called
Another really good Israeli export.
Another great Israeli export. Only they produce so many great artists. It's a movie called Salah Shabati, I think it is. And it's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen because it's like
Menachem Golem making a weird movie? No.
I know, but this might be the weirdest one. Like it's this like farcical comedy, like in the style of like a Blake Edwards like farce, but it's about the Yemenite refugee crisis in Israel, and it's like, what the fuck am I watching? And that's
last time I saw a movie like that, it was Casino Royale.
yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like.
But yes, Topol, I mean, it's hilarious because yeah, this is our first like twist villain, quote unquote, and the twist is Julian Glover being this sinister goateed man, a goatee almost as sinister as Neil Connery's actually.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, I'm not the villain. You got to go after this guy. And then he shows up, and it's our boy Columbo, and he's like, I'm not the bad guy.
It is Christatos you want, not me. He told you about himself.
And he's like, clearly you're right.
But yeah, Topol is amazing. I don't know. He has a very kind presence. I love his voice. He's just nice. Like, this character's nothing, but it's one of those, like, he's an actor that literally doesn't have to do anything for you to like him.
He has effortless charm.
Topol, like, well, his whole character here is he's like, everything got stolen from him. Like, his World War II medals got stolen from... Is that the war they're talking about? Did all these people fight in World War II? When they're talking about how, like, Christatos screwed him over?
Very old people, Troy.
Yeah.
It's the 80s. What are they doing?
What year is this?
Just the implication that Topol smuggles heroin is immediately like, no, he doesn't.
But just drug. No, doesn't he say at one point, he's like, I don't kill
that.
people or international espionage. He's ethical with, like, his criminality. And we're all like, okay, Columbo. He also works with the CIA, the Mossad.
The Mossad?
Well, Q says that. Wait, yeah, isn't that what we're talking about?
Oh, wait. Yeah, who says it? Is it Topol or is it Q?
The Mossad?
Well, it's hilarious because when they pull up their cartoon, Pictionary, whatever you call it, computer, Q says they're accessing like basically all the major intelligence data.
Oh yeah, you're right. It could be Q.
We can find a match by patching into the photographic files of the Sûreté, Interpol, CIA, the Mossad.
And it's like, why do you say it like that?
The Mossad.
So good old Q. Anyway, they meet, they point guns at each other, and they're almost immediately like, "Yeah, we're down. We're cool. Come on my raid, and we're gonna kill the glasses guy."
Does he meet him before or after Glasses Guy has killed Pierce Brosnan's wife, who I regret I don't know her name, but she gives a good performance, and she probably should have been the main
Cassandra
Bond girl.
Harris.
Yeah. Cassandra Harris should have been the main Bond girl.
I think it's before. I mean, this is part of the problem with the movie. It's like there's the sequence of events is so like unimportant. It feels like you sort of forget where
it's
we're
not very
at.
cause and effect. That's the thing.
No,
it's hilarious that when the editors are directing, somehow cause and effect and pacing like just kind
Go
of
out
melt
the window.
away.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like pacing goes out the window, but it's weird because like the specific action scenes, like the focus is all just on the action scene.
Right. Well, that's the thing. There are some great action scenes, and I'll
And
say,
like the beach action scene works well, where Columbo's men rescue Bond, but they don't rescue Pierce Brosnan's wife.
Yeah, it took us. But the like when he kills the glasses guy, like that's. I think that's supposed to be like tying in with the revenge theme because he's getting revenge on that lady, but like he doesn't seem particularly broken up about her when she dies.
I actually would argue Roger Moore brings a natural like emotional investment, but stoic. I think he does that very well, and I actually think he does it better than Timothy Dalton, who I feel gets too emotionally worked up about people who die. There's like
False.
a balancing act where Moore.
I'm back to say, Troy, do not diss the Welsh.
Hey, I looked it up. He just was born in Wales. He's not actually Welsh. He's not Tom Jones.
No,
Okay.
he's Welsh.
Yeah, they kill the glass guy, and then he just in Melina's bag.
And again, you're breaking up the Spy Who Loved Me rule of once you've met the main Bond girl, you should try to be somewhat
And then
faithful to her.
it's kind of just random. Like it's kind of cool, but it is random. Like their whole like we're gonna go diving. Oh no, there's a guy. Oh no, there's another guy.
Are we talking about the submarine scene?
Yeah.
I love that scene. All the dead bodies, everyone's in a giant freaking suit, like fighting each other. That was fun.
It's okay. It's not my favorite. But I think, to what you were saying, Troy, like, I think there would be a really cool way to do this movie, which is where you have Carol Bouquet, and you make her, obviously, first of all, a more interesting character and a love interest, you know?
And you direct her.
And she's talking about revenge, and James Bond keeps telling her, like, no, revenge is bad. But then she gets killed by Glasses Guy, and we're emotionally invested in this woman, and we know that James Bond is emotionally invested in this woman. And then Bond himself has to grapple with his own morality about revenge because he wants to get revenge on these people, and it also reminds him of when Tracy died, you know, so it could have been way more interesting than what we got.
Been good. Jan, it is interesting you bring up the idea of a much better Bond movie where someone is killed, James Bond meets a young woman who wants revenge for that person, who then gets killed, and James Bond has to beat the bad guy, and it's called Goldfinger. And look, we all wish we were watching Goldfinger, but we're not. We're watching...
You know what's even funnier?
I know.
We were talking earlier about when Columbo's mistress gets killed. You guys said that he doesn't really care. I'm like, he kind of cares. And then the next scene is when they raid Cristados' warehouse, and then he has the confrontation with the Glasses Guy. Yeah. And the funny thing is that you kind of think that he's getting revenge for her because he slept with her and thought she was a cool gal. But he's like, this is for Ferrari.
You left this with Ferrara, I believe.
The Inspector Clouseau Italian man. He's more upset about that guy.
Oh yeah, because he killed his contact.
It's like we barely met. Like I forgot he was even a thing.
But they knew each other from World War II.
He's very mad that Roberto Benigni's been murdered.
No, not Roberto. He has more Pinocchios in him.
Honestly, he deserves it for Life is Beautiful and Pinocchio.
And Pinocchio. But that is the car kill, right? That's when he shoves
that's the car kill. And they were debating whether or not to have it be Roger Moore kicking the car down the cliff, which is what we see in the final movie, or whether him throwing the dove pin would be enough weight to tip it over. I kind of think if they should have left it being the dove pin, because that would have been a little bit more Bondian, at least for Roger Moore.
I guess, but I've heard Roger Moore also say, like, this was not in character. This was too brutal. And it's like, he's fucking James Bond. He kills people left and right. How is this any different?
No, but there's a difference the way Roger Moore kills somebody and, like, you know, like another James Bond thing. I'm like, it goes against the theme of the movie again, because we already have, like, Bond mercilessly killing Blofeld in the beginning of the movie.
He shoots a billionaire in the balls.
He tortures a guy for information and then throws him off the top of a building.
Where's Pekish?
Pyramids!
What a helpful chap.
But he already tried to, like, shoot a missile at him. This was like, you know, he was mad because his best friend, apparently Roberto Benigni, was killed outside of a hockey rink. And you're just kind of like, oh, okay. And also this goes against the theme of the movie because he's going like, hey, don't get revenge. You dig 2 graves. Fuck you. that's for my Italian friend.
The whole issue of the movie is he's telling this character, don't do revenge, it's not cool, but all the coolest parts of the movie are when James Bond totally does revenge.
Exactly.
And with zero repercussion, like, there's no toll at all in any way.
No.
So it's like, why is revenge bad? Like,
oh God, I can't believe I raised the rating of this movie on Letterboxd. Okay. Right. We're working through it.
Oh my God. This is like our Thunderball review all over again.
It actually, honestly, I find Thunderball and For Your Eyes Only to be very similar films with similar problems.
You know what Thunderball has?
What?
The characters are actually underwater. It took me a while, though.
Oh, yeah. No, that I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. Carol Bouquet was scared of water.
She had sinus problems and couldn't be fitted with diving gear. So they're like,
well, that's more valid.
We're going to shoot it in slow-mo and blow a bunch of fans, and then we're gonna get like carbonated water, get plates of that, and put it in front of like their mouths and noses. Which honestly, it kind of looks cool.
It looks okay, I think.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, you have to look, and then you go like, oh wait, they're completely dry.
Yeah, it's just like it's kind of weird to do like a fake water thing for like the most basic fucking like scuba diving
is, like
thing ever.
there are plenty of movies that do, you know, they call it dry for wet, but it's
Dry for
usually
wet,
for
yeah.
like model shots or whatever.
Or like The Shape of Water
Not like
does it.
the close up of your main actor with their hair blowing around. So it's unusual. It's
Yeah.
like I was like, why is this so crisp? You know, but then I was like, oh,
Right.
you know. That was kind of interesting.
It looks
and
cool.
different.
Yeah.
Anyway, also in this very serious movie, he gets in a confession booth and Q's there with a beard on.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
That's putting it mildly, 007.
Yeah, he's a priest.
My favorite part of that, someone's pointed out, is like, what's a confessional doing in an Orthodox church? Maybe there is. Maybe I'm ignorant.
Wait,
but it's like-
I don't know.
I don't know about this. Are confessionals only like a Catholic thing?
they're generally associated with Catholicism.
Yeah.
I read this. This was a complaint someone had online, so I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I never thought about that.
I never thought about it, but I guess you're right.
I was half expecting for James Bond to put his dongle in the glory hole.
You're talking about this as I'm shopping for more gondolas.
Question. Someone said, okay, it seems there is some idea of confession in the Orthodox Church, but all I'm getting is the theology. I'm not saying anything. You don't say it to the priest, you make it to God. So the whole phrasing is at least Catholic, I believe, in this scene. But someone pointed out online, they're like, this feels more like an M scene. And I'm like, in what world do you see Bernard Lee?
Dressed as a priest? I was thinking, no, like that would have been awesome if like you didn't see M the entire like beginning of the movie because he's
And that's
ill.
how he comes
and
back.
then his reveal is that he's in a confessional with a beard. That would have been fucking sick.
The final scene of Bernard Lee's M.
Final scene is
Put me
just
in
like,
box.
that's putting him mildly. And he's like hammered.
And then they lower him into the ground.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I picked
Just
up
like
my
you.
gravesite.
Yeah, just like you. Q's so wacky. We love Q.
Yeah, Q's great. And then we got a wonderful scene where they're like disguised as monks, right?
Yeah.
They're completely like they're not inconspicuous at all. They're like, oh yeah, those are like secret agents and models.
Because what? The dude is he already hiding out in that monastery? Because he got the code thing, right? He got what he needed from the submarine?
Yes.
Okay, he got the MacGuffin.
Yes, he has the panel from the thing, and he's up in a monastery, which is definitely a pretty wild location.
Yeah, especially when they have a trampoline in it, or like something. I'm like, why did he take her?
The setting for this climax, I feel like it's a nice change of pace from the
it's
big
fun.
evil layer. And I like that James Bond is climbing and the dove makes a comeback.
Oh yeah, the climbing stuff, like this is when it really goes gangbusters with the editing. It's tense.
Yeah, it's great.
You understand what's happening with like the hooks popping out and all that.
Yeah, and it keeps cutting back to Topol, and he's singing and dancing, and it's wonderful.
And I look at my DVD player, and I've put in the Fiddler on the Roof DVD instead of For Your Eyes Only,
and I'm
having a great time.
I'm turning Amazon Prime off and just watching Fiddler on the Roof.
Crying.
Actually, since we're getting to this scene, this had some behind the scenes trouble. So the location where where they shot it at, it's the home to all these monks that live in those mountains, and they got permission from the Greek government to film there. And I guess a cut of that money for filming there didn't go to the monks, so the monks were pissed that they were filming there, and then they're just going like, we don't want this filth being shot at our monasteries, get out. And they would like drape their monasteries in like crap to fuck up the shots, and they were just being overall disruptive of the production. And it got so bad that the Greek government had to get involved and figure out who actually had the jurisdiction to allow filming in this location, and it turned out that the local jurisdiction actually was in charge. But instead of dealing with this, they built their own set.
Nice. They should have just called the Soviet Union. They have a history of getting into trouble with the Orthodox Greeks.
If there's anything that an Anglo-American production in 1981 wanted to do, is bring in the Soviet Union to fix all their problems.
Especially when the
villain
is trying to sell a MacGuffin doomsday device to the Russians.
No, I mean, this movie, arguably, oh my God, is this the most Cold War Ronald Reagan James Bond movie?
Absolutely. Like, it's insane. Like, in the books, it's all about, like, those fucking Reds.
Yeah.
All about the fucking Russians. This is, like, the first James Bond movie that's properly, like, where the bad guys are the Soviets, you know?
But even still, not really, because it's very...
Well, yeah,
like...
They're working through a Greek man.
They're working through a Greek man, and then at the end, Bond throws the MacGuffin device off the cliff to make sure that the balance of power is even.
Yeah, right in front of Gogol.
And then Gogol is just like, laughs and goes like, ha ha ha, you're so right, James Bond.
It's like when Harry breaks the Elder Wand.
Wait, no, it's, what does James Bond, what's his one-liner? It's like, that's détente, comrade.
That's détente, comrade.
So it's not quite Reagan, because Reagan would go like, no, we're going to take this for ourselves. Reagan's like, we're going to put a laser in space.
Yeah, he was like, he'd be like, we need that.
Like, yeah, no, exactly. So this is actually a progressive film for the 1980s.
They're trying to
maybe I won't go that far, but...
Guys, I can't tell, since we're at the point, and I guess I'll just make my point, there's a scene where James Bond fights a guy on a cliff. It's very well shot.
Yeah, the whole climax I feel like is pretty solid.
The whole climax is really solid until we get to the point where there's any payoff, and then the movie commits its worst moment in the space of like 3 minutes, where Julian Glover has the codes, and Melina has him in her sights, and she's about to get vengeance, and James Bond is like, no, well, this is a Batman quote, but what will vengeance solve? And then she's like, you're right. And then Topol just shoots him.
Yeah.
No, Julian Glover has a knife and is about to throw it at her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just killed this woman, Bond. If it wasn't for Topol coming in at the last second, your point would have been moot.
Our golden rule, no one's allowed to kill except Topol. He
and
is
James
the
Bond.
only one. And James Bond.
Topol has a license to kill.
James Bond could drop a man down a chimney and kick a guy off a cliff.
Yeah, we also thought Topol was dead.
For a second, I thought Topol was dead, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of funny that like you throughout this movie, you're like there are two different villains pointing fingers at each other, and then they don't kill either of them because they kill each other."
I mean, they should have Reichenbach falls.
That would have been more
if you were
interesting.
rewriting the movie, Melina has him in his sights, and James Bond's like, no, at least have Topol die in the process of killing him. And like they fall off the cliff, and you hear Topol go, yeah!
Why do you people want Topol dead so much? What is wrong with you?
Because he's too cool to live.
Yes.
He's too good for us.
And that's why he's dead now.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want him to actually die. Can I bring Topol back?
Yes, you can, because this is 2021. He hasn't died yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna pour things Topol.
Wait, I thought he died.
No, Jake, the bit.
Oh, he's dead in the future. In the future, he'll be dead. Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot. It's 2021.
Oh, wait, that's right. We're recording these episodes the week they come out. This is the future of 2024, actually.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Our timeline is so confusing.
It's almost like we're in a James Bond movie with these timelines.
Oh, we need to talk about if we don't have anything else to say about the climax.
Wait, I think I did have one thing to say about the climax. I like the part where the guy falls off the cliff and we see him fall, and they're like, James! And it's like, no, it's just, I know this guy, he sucks.
It's a guy.
Okay, continue.
And he's totally okay. His body is completely intact.
He's
when he hits the
okay.
ground.
Melina doesn't kill him. It's fine. They threw the MacGuffin off a cliff. It's
Now
fine.
Topol
No
can
one
be
cares.
creepy to this underage child because that's the last time we see it.
Oh yes! Crap! Wait, that's such a.
Did anyone else?
He pulls a Lando. He's like, let's go find your family.
Oh my god! I can't believe I raised the rating of this movie. Oh no! What did I do?
But then the icing on the cake.
Yes, the climax was pretty cool, but this is the best post-climax scene, not just in the series, but of all time.
I thought of you especially when I was watching this part. I'm like, oh, Jen.
I had forgotten about it. So when she showed up, I just went, oh.
When we mention she, yes, they keep referring to the prime minister as she, and we finally get to see who she is. It is none other than someone playing Margaret Thatcher.
Ah, Mr. Bond, I wanted to call you personally and to say how pleased we all are that your mission was a success. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Don't thank me, Mr. Bond.
But it's not just like someone
It's
that's
like a comedian playing
But it's like it's not just
the
like
same-
we're suggesting that it's Margaret Thatcher. It's like, no, this is actually Margaret Thatcher. Like her husband is Dennis Thatcher and she's Margaret Thatcher. And then she has phone sex with a parrot.
Well, really, Mr. Bond.
Oh, Mr. Bond, give us a kiss. Give us a kiss. Oh, Mr. Bond.
I could not believe what I was watching.
Yeah, no, it's like having Alec Baldwin as Donald Trump show.
Yeah,
it's so wild.
And go like, very good. I love you too, James Bond.
And to have not only Margaret Thatcher, but her husband Dennis, the infamous drunk, be like they're just drinking. Like, what an oddly
he's hanging out in the
cultural
kitchen.
Yeah, they're just chilling. Like
She makes a note that Dennis is there. She's like, I'm with my husband, Dennis.
No, that's when it's like, oh, this isn't just supposed to be like a female prime minister. This is Margaret. She's like, oh, hello, Dennis. It's like,
it's like,
they
I'm
made her so
explicitly Margaret
specific.
Thatcher. Would you like to talk about the Falkland War, James Bond? Let's date this movie as much as possible.
Was it Falkland War? No, that was later, right?
No, this is the beginning of Margaret Thatcher. This is her becoming prime
so
minister.
this was like 81. So literally,
Yeah.
like the next year was the Falkland War.
Yes. No, it's just interesting that the second Britain got a female prime minister, the series is like, whoa, look at that. Whoa, crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
From the mind of Ian Fleming. Yep.
And she's like doing the dishes.
Yeah.
And she's a prime minister.
And it's just it's funny because they've never shown the Queen. They're always like, the Queen, we're patching you in the Buckingham Palace, and they never show it. But Margaret Thatcher's kitchen is like, get that on cinema.
It's so fucking weird, but it left me with, I mean, such a bland movie, but it left me with such a good taste in my mouth.
Well, and then it makes it even funnier because Q and the Twink are trying to disconnect the phone lines, but Margaret Thatcher's loving having sex with this parrot.
She's just flicking her bean to this like parrot right next to Dennis.
Right next to Dennis, like, oh, Mr. Bond. They're like, no, cut it off. It's a parrot.
What do you think Margaret Thatcher thought? Like, because she was like one of the most conservative fucking people. Like, what was she making out of this?
Well,
when
she just
saw
loves
herself?
that James Bond kills.
Yeah, that part's cool.
It would have been really funny if they actually cast Margaret Thatcher and they just gave her like a fake script and they just like YouTube pooped it.
Yeah.
Together.
When they make the next one,
it's just like
they make her say horrible things about trade unions.
They give her the lines. Are like, okay, pretend that James Bond is hitting on you on the call, and then they don't tell her that it's actually a parrot.
Yeah. Oh, been great. I've seen a lot of Maggie impressions in my day, and this is up there. Like, this was pretty good.
This was better than the Iron Lady, I'll say.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The Iron Lady, that's not a good performance.
Can we talk about the title drop? For Your Eyes Only? It's there. He's like, oh, you're not wearing a bathing suit. And she's like, for your eyes only, James. And I'm like, ha ha ha.
For your eyes only, darling.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we did
that
it.
happened. Anyway, For Your Eyes Only.
I can't believe it. We made it to the ratings.
This has been the smoothest recording ever.
That we had no technical issues by
We're really
anyone.
perfecting the formula here, folks.
Thank God that we had no drama while recording this episode. Like, my mic not working, Troy's computer pooping out 5 times, my box home being worked on. You know, like everything went smooth.
Your dongle not getting up, and then
My dongle not getting up.
No. This is our shortest episode ever because we were so efficient about talking about For Your Eyes Only, the most interesting movie of all time.
Yes.
So, who wants to start?
Yeah, Troy, would you like to start? Is that a no?
Yeah, go ahead and start. Come back to me. I'm disappointed.
So, this movie is Screensaver Cinema. It's a movie that you put in the background on a Sunday while you're cooking your steaks. There's nothing really great about it. There's nothing really bad about it. It's right in the middle. 5 out of 10. The mole, oh no.
Did you forget about the mole during this movie?
I kind of did. I was more focused on his wrinkles, to be honest.
That's the thing. I have to say, like the mole's not getting better, but everything else is getting worse.
It's getting worse.
Yeah,
So-
that's the issue. The mole ends up becoming a highlight as you go on.
This man is just getting, his form is getting stretched out and recompressed in ways that I don't like and make me fear my own future. So 4 out of 10.
Okay. For Your Eyes Only, yeah, it is a very middle of the road Bond movie. It tries to go back to the Ian Fleming formula, but it also has to be a classic cinematic Bond movie with all this stupidness, and they don't quite have enough stupid moments to keep it up, but it's also kind of uneven because even when they're trying to commit to this story about revenge, they contradict themselves every couple scenes.
It doesn't commit to anything, to its themes, to its tone. Like, it's just there.
Right. It's just kind of shooting the scene. The scenes by themselves are fine. Action scenes are fine. Everything is fine. The villain is, it's a normal thing with twist villains. There's, like, once you figure out that they're a twist villain, there's not a lot of development for them. So Christados is kind of one ear out the other. Very much like this movie. I hate the score. This movie is neither one of the best Bond movies in like that Casino Royale 2006, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Goldfinger camp. It is not a Diamonds Are Forever, Man with the Golden Gun camp. It is firmly in the middle. It is solid. Like you said, it's something you have on in the background. Like if you're watching the Spike TV James Bond marathon in 2005, you probably are flipping back to whatever football game is on right at the moment and then coming back. It is a, if I'm going to be generous, I would say it's a 3 out of 5, but it's probably a 2.5 out of 5 for me. The Mole, much like the movie itself, I forgot it was there. 5 out of 10.
That's pretty much it. This movie is pretty much like a Dragon Ball Z filler episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the ones where like Krillin's just yelling, you know?
Right. It's one of those episodes where they throw 2 punches, and the punches are good.
Yeah. But like you can skip it. Like they're not gonna put it in the Kai version.
Also, funny story about this. This was the last Bond movie I ever watched. This is the last one I got to. I didn't see this movie until I think I was in high school.
I was going to say, it's interesting, Jake, because this may have been one of, if not the first one I saw when I was in high school.
Wow.
And maybe that explains something. But I distinctly remember it was my good old German exchange trip in high school. Shout out to Lucas, #1 James Bond fan.
How many countries have you lived in?
I didn't live. That was only a few weeks, but yeah. Shout out to my homeboy in Munich. He's he's mainly a Brosnan fan, but I think we did watch this one too. And really, all I remembered about it from back then was him climbing the thing, which is definitely, I think, the centerpiece of this whole movie and apparently of John Glen's entire career. Climbing and a bird jumps out. I must have just totally missed some of the other wackiness, or maybe it didn't register. Yeah, as we mentioned, it's odd that it's like we're going gritty. No, we're not. You know, you can't shake Moonraker. It's just too good. That's why. So it's a big step down from
that pigeon. You can't shake that pigeon.
You can't shake that pigeon. The pigeon shakes its own head. You know. So got some wacky stuff, but a little sleepy. And like we mentioned before, it's funny that it's like we're gonna try to get some of those On Her Majesty's Secret Service vibes back, but also we're gonna put no effort into this.
None of the craft that was in that movie.
All in the craft.
Well, at least it is anamorphic this time, I guess.
Sure, but the romance is like an afterthought.
The white demon Guy Hamilton is gone.
The romance is basically whenever James Bond is like, Melina, did you find that copy of the file I sent you? And then they just play For Your Eyes Only under it, and they think that makes it romantic. And it's like, no, he's like her dad.
And they're naked.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. Can you believe there's this like new camp of like degenerate revisionist pig that says that For Your Eyes Only is better than The Spy Who Loved Me?
Yeah, that person seems wrong. But if I may give my view on For Your Eyes Only, this movie is frustrating because when I first saw it in my Bond watch through, it was very mediocre and I was very angry at all the tonal switch. And I hated that the woman is not developed. I hated the villain. I hated the Gator subplot. I hated the Zamboni. I hated all this stupid bullcrap polluting this perfectly good revenge thriller. And I actually thought, like, watching it again, it was going to go lower. But then watching it again, like, the action scenes really work. Like, if you're watching this movie, John Glen, like, brings a lot of zip. And it brings a lot of energy. And in the moment, you're like, this is exciting. Roger Moore is a reactive Bond. You're in wonderful locales. Everything's a bit more grounded. Everything's moving. It's not like Moonraker where you're just wandering around a grotto. And you get a little bit of that spy grit and you get Gogol. And you get a lot of fun stuff. But then you see the movie and then through shenanigans, you end up recording the podcast episode 3 days later. And then there's even more shenanigans. And you're really trying to marshal, what do you remember of this movie? And you're like, oh yeah, this doesn't know how to tell a story.
It's like, you know, by the time you get to this point in the James Bond series, it's like a long marriage where like you've forgotten why you fell in love with your wife in the first place. You know?
It's like your dongle doesn't work anymore.
I'm almost feeling the opposite. Like I almost feel now when I go back and rewatch these movies, I've lowered my expectations. So now I'm like, wow, look at that skier jump. That's pretty cool. That's what James Bond does better than anyone else. Whereas the first time I watched these movies, I'm like, why can't she take revenge? What is wrong with that? Literally nothing. See, the irony is I agree with what you guys are saying, but it feels weird for me to... I raised it to 5 out of 10 on this rewatch.
Are you trying to say that you like it enough because it is competent enough and it's not bad?
No. I still don't like it. 5 out of 10 is still a bad movie to me, but... Is it middle of the round bad, or is it like mediocre bad where it genuinely doesn't know what it's doing?
I wouldn't call it mediocre bad. It's just mediocre.
Yeah,
but like mediocre. You can't tell. Like the story doesn't work.
It's a movie like if I ever committed euthanasia, this is the movie that I would be asked to put on. You know,
ironically, I think that's what Bresson said.
Yeah, it's just calming and inoffensive, and you have a good time.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the issue. I mean, and that's the thing with James Bond though, is you want to say it's calming and inoffensive, but then you remember the BB doll subplot.
Remember, it's very offensive.
Is this inoffensive? I don't know. I think doing a double feature of For Your Eyes Only in May-December may have been amazing.
Oh, no.
Now I'm like...
What are you talking about, Troy?
What is that?
That's a great movie. Like, that's a genuinely good movie.
It's a good movie.
Like,
I still need to watch it.
Oh, it's very good.
I'll watch it 3 years in the future.
Yeah, when it comes out on Netflix.
Yeah, I plan on watching that good movie at some point.
Yeah, at some point when we get Netflix. I think, all right, fine. I'll roll the dice and give it a 5 out of 10. I'll keep it at the raised rating because John Glen did a good job on making the movie.
He didn't fuck it up.
Yeah. The Mole, I'm giving an 8 out of 10. I thought it was responsibly placed. Oh, man, but the Blofeld scene? What am I doing? What am I rating movies?
No, the Blofeld scene is like one of the redeeming qualities here.
We're really at the point in the podcast where we're just like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
what is this?
I was at that point with Diamonds Are Forever. I was like, this was terrible. Terrible idea for a podcast.
Well, here's the thing is that we have like 3 more movies where it's basically going to be like, And then we get to Dalton, and then there's a little bit of spice thrown in there. They're both directed by John Glen, but there's a little bit more of the Dalton Welsh spice.
Oh, Pierce. Save me, Pierce.
Yeah, he's the light at the end of the tunnel, but I think we got some exciting stuff to come.
Pierce Brosnan met the Broccoli's on the set of For Your Eyes Only because his wife was in the movie. So they introduced... And his wife, Cassandra... was such a cheerleader for him to play James Bond. Like, she really was pushing him.
Well, you look at Pierce Brosnan, and it looks like he was bred to be that character.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan was born to play James Bond.
You think James Bond, you think Pierce Brosnan, you know?
Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan was born to play 2 JBs, James Bond and Joe Biden.
Oh my God. That would be incredible.
I know. It would be his Oscar.
But would he play the original Joe or the clone Joe?
Both. We'll de-age him for the original Joe.
He has
and then
such
he'll play the
range,
clone
he could
Joe.
do both.
He can do both.
It's going to be called The Two Joes.
The Two Joes. Written by Robert Town.
Yeah, written by Robert Town.
Directed by Robert Davi, the director of My Son Hunter.
Yes. Yes. It will be his Oscar.
And don't even get me started because we have that to look forward to. The director of My Son Hunter is in License to Kill.
It's gonna be like The Prestige. Like, one Joe loves Hunter and the other one hates him.
One sleepier than the other.
All that and more to look forward to.
Thank you for bearing with us on this episode. We'll get through it together. We got some more mediocre to terrible Bond movies coming up, but then it's going to be nothing but hits.
The next one is good.
That was this week's episode of You'll Only Listen Twice. I'm Jake.
I'm Troy.
I'm Jet. Oh, fuck.